welcome back to my channel. So I did the I'm doing best and worst love interest of, and I'm gonna start doing that every year at the end of the year. Be like, actually with these two videos, I might not do them every year, to be honest. I might just do them whenever they come upon me. The other videos I mentioned, I'm definitely gonna do those every year, but these I'm not sure if I'm gonna do them every year. But this video is about worst love interest, and not everyone on here is a main character, or some of these on here is a main character, is what I meant to say. And it's because love interests are pretty much like love interests to the main characters. I think I don't think they're considered main characters, but some of these are main characters. I'm just putting them as people who, anyone who's been in a relationship pretty much, and whether they're a main character or not. So yeah, so let's get started on this list. This should be fun. I don't know what that was. Okay, Jonathan from the Shadow Realm Chronicles. Let me get that book out because it's down here. He is very manipulative of Maeve. He claims to love her. He claims he is doing what's right for her. He kidnapped her. Let's see, her grandson, was it? Yeah, it would have been her grandson. Yeah, her grandson. He kidnapped her grandson, who technically died, but they live in the Shadow Realm. So he kidnapped her grandson and is turning him into this dark force to be reckoned with. So he's turning dark, and he's making him like forget his past, forget his family, and so he's becoming this dark person who wants revenge. And he also ended up killing Maeve, the man Maeve loves, Hunter. Well, actually, no, he didn't kill him. He died of old age. But that's the story. Honestly, I have a theory that it's more than that. Like, Jonathan he seemed too suspicious at the end. And, while Maeve was grieving, it's just, I don't know, I think he has something to do with it. I do. But, so yeah. So he's just a terrible boyfriend, husband, whatever he was to Maeve. And he's awful to her, and she deserves better. So yeah. Next is Rexy from the Storymakers. The book is right here, so I'll pick it up. Here is the second book in the trilogy. Rexy is... So, when I first read the series, I didn't like the three main characters. Dorothea, Rexy, and Cato. I didn't like any three of them. Dorothea and Cato grew on me, especially Cato. He became my favorite character. I still love Dorothea. But Rexy, she grew on me a little bit. A tiny bit. I will admit that, because I got more respect for her, because she ended up betraying them, but then she ends up dying to save them. Well, sort of. She almost died to save them. Long story. But, so yeah. But Rexy, Dorothea and Cato, after everything they went through, after everything that happened, they grew. They had these character developments that I liked. Rexy, on the other hand, I got more respect for her, and she did change a little bit. She changed enough to be able to die to save them, because that's something she would have never done before. But her personality was pretty much still the same. She's selfish, she's annoying, she is snarky and snippy, and I mean, I'm okay with being sarcastic every so often, but she takes it to a new level, and she doesn't know when to shut up. She doesn't see whenever this is not the time for that. She doesn't care. That's the thing. And I have issues with Rexy, a lot of issues with Rexy, actually. So yeah. So she's just, so I think this might be a bit of a cheat answer, because I think this is more of my own personal feeling for Rexy than her when she's in a relationship. But yeah. But I'm staying by with what I say. I might change it later on. I don't know. We'll see. I'm currently rereading it. Maybe I'll change my mind. But as of right now, I'm sticking to it. Let's see. Next is two from the same series. have two people from the same series. One is Becca. She is a very jealous person, I was gonna say manipulative, but that's not the right word. She never manipulates Brett. But she's a very jealous girlfriend, and girlfriends like that are very annoying. And she's also very what is the word? It's not manipulative. I had a word perfect for it, but then I lost it. I can't think of the right word. But she, how do I explain Becca? She outed someone who had nothing to do with this only because of Brett wanting to be with Frankie instead of her, and she tried to ruin their lives because Brett chose someone else. And to be fair, the person he chose isn't a good love interest either. She's next on the list. I'll get to her in a minute. But still, Becca had no right to do anything that she did. And yeah, and then the next person is Frankie. The entire time, she's the one that's trying to make a change, which I admire that of her. I hate Frankie, but I do admire that trait. She wants to make a change. She wants to make the world a better place for all monsters. And she gets really upset in the fourth book because everything now is changed, but she's not the one that changed him. And she doesn't understand why. She's like, I start, because everyone's telling her, oh, you're the one that started this. That makes me so annoying, because what does she do? I mean, yeah, she wanted to make a change, and she did make a few bold gestures, but at the same time, she's just too wrapped up into boys to care enough. That's why she couldn't make a change. Yes, that's what she doesn't understand, why she can't make a change. It's because she's too wrapped up in boys. She always has to have love interests. Like in the first book, she has two love interests. DJ has a thing for her, and then she kind of likes him, but she also had a thing for Brett. And Brett barely noticed her until the beginning of the end of the first book, beginning of the second book. That's when he noticed her. And then Billy, who's helping her throughout everything, who's always on her side, who's always standing up for her, believing in her. She tries to date him at one point to get over Brett after they broke up in book 3. Yeah, book 3. But basically she was using him. She didn't care about him, or not in that way at least. She didn't have feelings for him, and she knew he had feelings for her. Yet she was still going on with that charade, pretending that she could date him because she needed to move on with someone that actually cares about her. And I'm like, but at the same time, you're hurting Billy because you don't care about him in that way, and he cares about you in that way. And I have issues with her. She's a terrible love interest. She should not be able to date ever. Like, seriously, not until she's thinking grows up. That's my little rant. Okay, next is Apple from Ever After High. She doesn't really have much of a relationship, but she's very selfish, and the only thing she cares about is her happily ever after. And even if that means her friends don't get one, and she thinks she has to be with Daring because that's their destiny, even though it's so obvious Daring has a thing for Lizzie, even though he probably won't admit it yet. And she won't admit that she has a thing for him, but it's so obvious. And she is just so selfish, and she's very controlling. That's the word for Becca, controlling. She's very controlling. But Apple's very controlling too, and everything has to be her way. She has to have everything, and she gets on my nerves. Let's see. Next is Mary from Skin Checker Trilogy, because she kind of has a relationship with Nick. They both were in love with each other, but after the first book, they were in opposing sides of the war, and they both still loved each other. And I already talked in my last video about what I admired about Nick. And I admire nothing about Mary, because she's a little twit who is trying to force kids to stay under her rule and Everlost instead of moving on into the light, because she's awful and she thinks what she's doing is right when it's obviously not. And I don't know how she can't see that what she's doing is wrong. So yeah, she does lose the war, thankfully. But but she never stops loving Nick, and she's so awful, a horrible human being. Nick is so sweet. He deserves so much more than to be hung up on this little. I have Mary issues, if you cannot tell. So yeah, she's just a terrible love interest and this and that. There was another guy in the first book that did have feelings for her. What was his name? Starts with a V. Barry? No. I can't remember it now, but it starts with a V. But he had feelings for her, but she kind of always brushed him off because she didn't have feelings for him. She always kind of saw him as a kid, and Nick was a bit older, and she liked him. So yeah. Ned from Bewitched and Oz. Where's my Bewitched and Oz book? Okay, here it is. At the beginning, both Ziri and Vashti had a crush on him, and but then in the middle of but Ziri does end up having feelings for his little brother instead. But in the middle of the journey, Ned ends up betraying them and ends up turning them into the flying monkeys, including his little brother, and that crushes Ziri. At this point, I think she's already getting feelings for Brink at this point, though. So yeah, but it's just, oh my gosh, Ned is just horrible, and I'm not really even mad that he did that to Ziri and Vashti, even though they did not deserve it. What I'm mad about is what he did to Brink, because they're blood, they're family, and But anyways, moving on. Ziri did have a crush on him, and so did Vashti, and he betrayed them both and made them both realize that he isn't the person they thought he was. And I think that's when Ziri fully was able to accept that she might have feelings for Brink too, because she realized whose dad really was. Okay, and then last is Cho from Harry Potter. She betrays them all in Order of Phoenix. That was the one, right? Yeah. And I didn't like her and Harry together. Anyways, she was always mopey and crying. And yeah, she loves Cedric and she was grieving, but because of that, she shouldn't be with Harry in the first place because she was grieving this and that. And she was just awful. And Harry deserved better. He deserves Jenny. And I don't like Cho, and she betrayed them all, and I think that's when Harry finally realized that and that's when Harry finally, was done with her and was able to realize what a great person Jenny actually is, and so yeah, Cho is just not a good person to be with. So yeah, that's all for this video. Please like and subscribe and comment who you think are the worst book love interest ever. And you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Goodreads as Secret Books. And I will talk to you guys later.